All right, we are back out here in the garage again today working on some stuff. So the Fiero's still right here, right where we left it. We're almost at a standstill on it, but there's still a few little things we can do to it. Like I could order the stuff for the clutch and flywheel and get that made. I'm gonna have to have a flywheel machined for it, at least a little bit. Basically, it'd have to be re-drilled and bored for the LS crankshaft. So that is something we could do. I could also make some motor mounts for it and get those kind of figured out. And I could also start on the turbo kit, at least this back side here. But I think I might hold off on that too. I mean, like I said, I could do at least this side and then worry about the merge after the oil pan shows up. But the oil pan's not gonna be here until the end of January. So I kind of wanna hold off on some things until that shows up. Like I'd hate to get the motor mounts made and then find out that there's like some discrepancy between where this one is and where the LS4 King one is. So I kind of want to hold off on that. I want to hold off on the turbo kit. I've got a rough idea on where everything is, but I think if I wait until the oil pan shows up, I can build it a lot tighter to everything and make sure there's just more ground clearance and everything's just better. So really the two main things I could do while we're waiting is the clutch and flywheel and fix the rust on it, which I did bring the MIG welder back over here. I was not about to TIG weld this car back together. And then something else I wanted to look at. I know, I'm rambling. It happens. So on this one, I got kind of lucky. I don't know if it's like this with other ones. This is the only one I've ever dropped the cradle out of. But where the cradle bolts go up, all that was up there was just a flat washer and a nut. Like they were free to spin, so I'd have to like drop the cradle down a little bit to put some stress on the nut, and then it would unscrew a little bit at a time. So I feel like I got kind of lucky there. So what I want to do is weld the nut to like a big rectangular piece so it can't spin in the frame. That's what I want to do. So that's on the list too, just to make things a little bit easier. Or once I get all this fixed, there's like a hole in the side here, to like an access hole. I think I might enlarge that a little bit and then just weld the nut and everything right to the frame rail. We'll kind of see when we get there. But today, we're not working on that. I want to go back to work on the RX-7. I have been itching to get back to work on this thing. You can see some of the front accessories are back on it because I was trying to figure out some sort of routing for the belts and everything, because I desperately want a 10 rib belt to be independent for the supercharger here. And I posted the other day on Instagram a picture of this and was just kind of talking about it. And someone told me that the LSAs, like the CTSV and some of the Corvettes, whatever they are, ZL1, I don't know. Anyway, he said the balancer on those has the truck spacing at the front an 8 rib, and then Corvette spacing 6 rib at the back, which is perfect. Because that means that for my alternator here, what I can do is take these 1.5 inch spacers to kick it out to the truck spacing off, and that'll put it all the way right back on the head, and this is perfect Corvette spacing now, because the spacing difference is roughly 3/4 of an inch for each. So from the Corvette to the F-body is 3/4 of an inch, and then from the F-body to the truck is 3/4 of an inch. So ICT Billet just puts these 1.5 inch spacers so they can use these for the 3 different versions. And then from there I found an LSA pulley that has 10 ribs on the front, which is sick, because that's still truck spacing, it kicks it out. So it should be perfect for this. If not, I can space things a little bit differently. And then initially there was an idler pulley here, an idler pulley here, and this thing was, I don't know how it was. I need to re-drill it so that there's a pin behind it. I need to re-drill it so that it stays where I need it. And then I've got a 10 rib idler for that. So that'll be perfect. And then the pulleys that came with this blower, this one is a 2.75, and the crank pulley that came with it is a 6 inch, which, boy howdy. So what I did is I ordered an 8 inch, which is pretty much the stock LSA lower pulley, I believe is an 8 inch. Stock truck is 7.5 for reference. So I got an 8 inch crank pulley and then a 3.8 inch blower pulley. And the math on that is that right at 7,000 RPMs, it'll be spinning the supercharger at exactly its max RPM. Now, there are many people that say you can take it a few thousand RPM above that, but I figured we'd start there and be safe. I initially was going to get an 8.5 or 9 inch crank pulley, but the largest 10 rib that Vortec makes, I'm sure there's some other aftermarket companies, but the Vortec ones were relatively cheap, but the largest pulley they make is 3.87. So with like a 8.5 or a 9-inch crank pulley, it was, even with the biggest pulley that Vortec made for the blower, it was going to be way over spinning it. So I figured if I went with just the 8-inch, I could still have a pretty big pulley here because I mean, like I said, this is the 2 3/4, so it's going to be like quite a bit bigger than that to try to help eliminate belt slip. Right there, it's all just a game of surface area. So I'm trying to maximize the grab on the crank and the grab on the blower, so hopefully that works. Because I really just don't want to go to a cog setup. And then for the alternator, this was just a kind of a rough idea that I think should work. So initially, this pulley was over here, right? And then this came up to a tensioner over here so that it was grabbing on the water pump like that much. And now it's going to be grabbing on it about like that, which I think should be enough. I mean, it might slip a little bit at high RPMs, but it's not going to... Hopefully this thing's only at high RPMs for a couple seconds, you know? And then once we come back down to like cruising speed, it should be fine. And I will probably replace this with a tensioner somewhere so that it might push the pulley like over here more to give it a little bit more grab. Again, this is all just kind of trial and error to see if I can make what I have work before ordering anything else. So the only thing I've had to order so far is just crank pulley, blower pulley, and a idler pulley for the 10-rib belt. Down the road, I might go to an electric water pump for this thing, but I do like the idea of using as many factory parts as I can. Just that way, in case, you know, whatever, we do take it on Rocky Mountain Race Week or something, or Drag Week. Or if we go back down to Texas to Justin Baker's shop and just the water pump goes out, you know, just as an example. We can just run to AutoZone or whatever and grab another one and slap on it. That's what I like about using a lot of the stock parts, but, you know, if it's not going to work, which I think it might work. And then testing that, there should be enough room to snake the charge pipe by, and then we'll just come right up here to the intake. I do think I'm going to run this intake on it for a little bit because we're probably going to hold off on the Monte Carlo build just so that I can get this done and get this done, and then we'll get back to work on that. So that's why I'm probably going to use this on this, otherwise it's going to be sitting around for who knows how long. I really didn't intend on this to just be an update video, but there's just so many things that I keep seeing and want to talk about. Initially, I was going to do a video with the S10, but it wouldn't start. And then I was going to come out here and make the new motor mount for this, and I got distracted just talking to you guys. So that might be the next video. I don't know. Right now, we're just chilling, hanging out. I know some people don't like videos where people are just talking. You know, whatever. We're just vibing, dude. So for the headers, I do need to move these fuel lines where they go above the steering shaft there, which isn't a big deal because I want to move the regulator to the end of the rail here. And then I'll probably run the return hose down in between these brackets, so that should be good. Plus, this plug will reach, because it was really tight before, the fuel pressure sensor plug. It was like stretched out, so I think it'll be a lot happier up here. And then the hose for the intercooler showed up. I ordered that back in October, and it finally just showed up. And we might, looking at this, we might run the throttle body upside down. That way I can reuse this throttle cable. And then that'll just put these plugs over here, but it'll still work. But man, I'm excited to get this car back together, dude. Like every time I come out here and look at it or look at pictures of it, I'm just like, I just want to get it together and hear it run and hear it fire up for the first time, because this thing should sound sweet with the long tubes and the 3.5-inch aluminum X pipe and the supercharger whining. Oh, it should sound so cool. Actually, now that I'm looking at things, just so that I don't, well, no. Yeah, that would work. Just so that I don't have to make new hoses the whole length of the car, I can just cut these ones down. I might see about running the fuel pressure regulator at the back here. And then for the vacuum reference for it, it'll be right off the back of the intake. So that'll be a nice short hose. The fuel and return and everything, I will have like a heat wrap around anyway. Yeah, that might not be too bad. I don't actually know if it'll fit there or not yet, but I might try that. If not, then making new hose, it is what it is. Or I could be that guy that just makes a new like 1-foot section and adds onto this with a union. I don't know, we might see. Yeah, I think that's probably about it. This video, I've been rambling for a while. Like I said, I know that there's a few of you guys That's weird that one's not coated. I didn't notice that before. That must just be where they were hanging it when they were powder coating it, I guess. That's weird though. But yeah, like I said, I know that there's a lot of people that do not like these videos where we're just talking and hanging out. But I know that there's a lot of people that do. So if you don't like it, I'm sorry. Sometimes it just happens. Plus, I just like going over things and discussing some of the ideas I have, which gets me in trouble sometimes because sometimes they just don't work out. But anyway, I see that this clip says I've been talking for 23 minutes. So I think we'll probably end the video here, and I'll turn the heat back on for a little bit, and then in the next video, we'll get to work on some stuff, like actually turn some wrenches. So don't worry about that. But regardless, I do hope you guys actually enjoyed the video. If you watched the whole thing, thank you for watching. If you want any merch, it's in the link in the description below. Go check it out. Like I said, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing and clicking that bell. We'll see you in the next one.